everybody. I am here once again to bring you another star from another fantastic horror movie from IFC Midnight. We are here to talk about Demonic. I'm here with Carly Pope. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It was a really interesting film. I had no idea which direction it was going to go. It had so many different elements in it, which made it a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah, well, oh, sorry, go
No,
on.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, we had no idea which direction it was going to go either. We were still rewriting the script as we were going. So interesting is I think a very positive adjective, and I will take that as a win.
That's great. So you play Carlys Spenser, and what I found really cool about it is that you're really featured throughout the whole thing, and there is such a range of things that you got to go through. Can you talk a little bit about your character?
Sure. Yes. I mean, Carly's really, when we meet Carly, she's living a pretty isolated, withdrawn life from everything. And we know that she's been estranged from her mother for a really long time. We don't really know the reasons for that when we first meet her, but we know that there has been a rift. And to me, what was really interesting about the character was this concept of trauma passed down, intergenerational trauma, and how no matter how much we might try to escape it, it might still be within us. So I was sort of looking at it like that from a broad strokes perspective. But really, the thing about Carly is that, like, she's protected herself by keeping her away from everything. And in order to kind of heal and forgive, she has to, like, be vulnerable and go in and jump in. And I think that was a really cool journey for someone to go on. And also the fact that it's a journey that is happening in real time, like everything that she's learning, what the audience is learning too. So it's like, I just had to be as available as possible in order to allow that to happen, in hopes that the audience has that journey too.
I think what I really appreciated about your character was the consistency. It wasn't like from one moment to another she just decides to be more heroic or give her mother a second chance or anything like that. It was like you said, us going through that journey. Here are these reasons. Here are the things that are presented to us, and reacting to them in a human way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, she's true to her word, I guess. That's and consistency is key in that sense as well. But I think that was also it. Like, neither Neil nor I were interested in having this kind of unrealistic or unrelatable character. Like, it was really important to try to create as much relatability as possible, in that she's just a girl that has had, or woman that's had these exceptional circumstances happen, and how she gets through them needs to feel like honest and realistic and human. Like, if all of a sudden she was wielding a shotgun, or like an expert at karate or something, then it would not feel like this was that person that we met at the beginning. So the kind of down and dirty element of it was really important to try to portray.
Yeah, and it was great, like I said, because then it made certain moments through those climatic scenes believable. And certain things that you do, and I'm not going to talk about them too much here because we want people to enjoy the movie. Certain things that's happened, I could nod and say, yeah, I can see her doing that.
Cool.
And I like that, especially with you saying that you guys were going through rewrites and trying to figure it out as you went. It looks like you did fairly well.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
So I want to ask you about using particular technology in filming, where you're using, I think over 200 cameras, if I'm not mistaken. Volumetric capture. Tell us a little bit about that and how we're going to see that in the film.
Yeah, it's such a trip. It's such a wild experience. It was, I think the camera count ended up being 260 cameras. And that, I'm not even sure if that was like the main kind of ring, that it's sort of like, you know, you have to create like a 360-degree cage of cameras in order to capture all this data. And then that, you know, that creates your geometric avatar that you can drop into these environments, these like real-time environments. It's all way above my pay grade in terms of the technology. And it was so like, my mind was scrambling when Neil was trying to explain it to me. I was like, I don't get it. And he's like, just trust me. Like, this is what, it's kind of like motion capture, but not really. And Neil and I had done some motion capture before together on a short film of his called Adam. And so I'd experienced motion capture and facial capture where, you know, you're wearing a suit and you have dots that capture the data, right? This is different in the sense that you're in real time hair, makeup, wardrobe. So you're captured in like what you see in the film, because again, these cameras are capturing you from every single angle all around you. And then we had a smaller cage that captured more close-up shots for like the more emotional stuff, or, you know, if we needed to go in on anything, because the resolution is still not that advanced, I guess, in the technology. So we had to create like a smaller cage, which I think was possibly the first time that had ever been done before. But anyway, it was so wild because there was so much technology around, so much electricity around, so much buzz and hum and like, and like cold hard things and that was, you know, for me, for my character, and for Nathalie Boltt, who plays my mother, like that's some of the most emotional content of the film that we had to shoot. So you know, that's kind of that was the biggest conundrum for me. That was the biggest hurdle to get over, was like, how do you mitigate like trying to access all this emotional life when you have like all these wires surrounding you and all these, you know, all these like all this data talking to you from all around you. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting. And but you know, it's important, like for the film, that's where we see we see the history, we see the current problem, we see the resolution, you know, we see all of that stuff in those environments. So it's really powerful. They're really powerful sequences in the film, hopefully, like that was the intent, but you know, they're crucial to the film, I think.
Absolutely. It was a real creative way also to go about it, because it's different, it's modern. At some points when they're watching you, Michael and Daniel, I felt like they were like playing Sims or something. And it was, but it was cool. And I also didn't know what to expect, because it's not something I'm used to seeing. You know, you've seen greenscapes and things like that, but not something techie like that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And you know, and that's what it is too. Like she doesn't know what to expect either, right? So it's all happening as it's happening.
So from something that's super high tech to something more practical, I want to talk about one of my favorite scenes, and that is when your friend Sam comes over.
Yeah.
And I was very excited to learn about that was practically done. And I want to know how that was for you from your point of view, and how that scene played out as far as shooting.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny because like I wish we could talk about this once the movie was out, so that you know what I mean, so that we could so I could actually talk to you about the specifics, because it was so extraordinary. And that was my favorite scene in the film when I read the script. Like it was like riveting. And it's cool because that's where, you know, things start to ramp up from that point on. So it's really the turning point. And I loved the way it read so much. So it was like, there was so much anticipation to shoot that scene because it was like so exciting. Like I was gleeful about that scene and gleeful about being able to shoot that scene. And that whole sequence was so great. And the fact that we were doing it practically, like you said, was part of the excitement. You know, I think, like, of course, Neil comes from like a visual effects background, and he's got all of that cred, and he's got all of that awareness, but he also really likes the practical side of things. And there are a lot of practical effects in this film, which I think just, again, sort of ground it, and also create this interesting like anachronism of like what time we're in, what, you know, like it's sort of going back to the ways of old, you know, movie making of old. And I really appreciated that. And yeah, I mean, again, if we talk once the movie's out and we can, you know, we can get into it, I'll explain further to you. But it was such a joy to shoot that, and so cool to see it all come together. And
that's always an issue with these interviews. Sometimes it's like I'm gonna want to talk about this, I can't though. And you know, but it does at least build anticipation for anyone watching this, because what are they talking about? What are we going to see? Is there some good? Yeah, some great, of course.
I hope so.
Can you talk a little bit about what you thought of the design of the demon you guys are facing? I noticed a lot of kind of like old school, like almost like doctor mask from the olden days with the beak and everything, and it was very striking.
Yeah, so that was again, you know, Neil cooked this up in his mad mind, but it was inspired from exactly that. You know, I think he was really intrigued by those masks of old, and that was sort of what the creature was born out of. And again, you know, that's a practical effect. Like. We had a very tall chap who was in that suit, and you know, and there's always a worry about that, whether like when you're doing like a creature feature, you know, if it's going to be accepted, if people are going to like it. I mean, I thought it was utterly terrifying, and also our effects team did like an incredible job building that suit, and it was the amount of detail was painstaking and just gorgeous. So I really hope that people can appreciate the artistry involved in that, and the fact that it's a unique, you know, one of a kind creation.
Yeah, I love me some practical effects, and the more sometimes I pay attention to them and notice that's actually there, the more fun I feel like I have, just because of the artistry behind it, like you say.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, I admire those artists so much.
So my last question to you is, what do you hope audiences take away from Demonic?
You know, it's a pandemic shot movie that has nothing to do with the pandemic, which I think is great and cool. There's no sign of it anywhere. But mainly it was an experimental film that we wanted to shoot during a really challenging time of year, and I just hope that people accept it as another film to add to Neil's canon, which is different from the rest. That's what I really hope, is that people just look at it and go, you know what, that's cool. That's a cool like offshoot from what we've seen from him before. And you know, like, I don't want anyone to be ambivalent about it. I hope it makes people feel something, even like regardless of what that is. I just hope that people like, I hope it has an effect. I hope it has an effect.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I had a lot of fun with it. It's not something I'd see every day. Something, right, especially with your use of tech, and then with your use of practical effects, and then just really knowing the genre, and just kind of the way you guys play with the demon and the possessions. I thought it was well balanced. I had a good time with it. So I hope everybody else does.
Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks for watching it, and thanks for saying that. It's nice to hear, you know, it's nice to hear real-time responses to what people are seeing and what people are getting from it. So
yeah, really absolutely. Carly, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again soon.
Likewise, I hope so too. We'll talk all things that sequence next time.
Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, take care.
Yeah.